Today we are taking a look at a very appealing, very economical car in this brand new second generation Kia Niro hybrid. But before we get into it and get driving this car, let's have a quick word from our sponsor.
It took a while to get up here. We started out around 1959. But we didn't do all that just to get here. We did it to give you a truck that'll take you anywhere. This is the new Nissan.
This brand new second generation Kia Niro starts at $26,490, and the base model is a hybrid. Now, this is not the very most basic model that you can get. Because we're out here in San Diego for the first drive event, they've given us a much more spec'd out model. So we've got the bigger 18-inch wheels, we've got a more spec'd out interior, which is a bit of a bummer actually, because I would love to test out the very base model of this car because it offers a number of really great things that I'm pretty excited about. So one of the most exciting things, 588 miles of driving range and 53 miles per gallon from the base model of the car for 26 grand. Those are really good, useful numbers to have in a piece of transportation. Because of these bigger wheels, these 18s that are on this car instead of the 16s that come on the standard model, this only gets 49 miles per gallon. Now, as for actually driving this Kia Niro hybrid, before we set off, this car has a very substantial button on the steering wheel for drive mode, so you would think there's probably a lot of them. There's not, there's just two. There's Eco and Sport. And what the hell, for fun, we'll start out in Sport because how sporty can it really be? Plus, I think that there's just no way that you're gonna make this car ever be inefficient. Pulling out onto the road, throttle it. Yeah, it's not fast. It is slightly torquey, so it's got no problem getting up to speed. But this is not a performance car. It's not an enthusiast car. You wouldn't buy this because you want to drive hard. You buy it because you need to get around, and you know, like a lot of us, don't have that much money to spend on a piece of transportation that's bad on fuel or that is unreliable. So this is a car that you can get new out of the box, put a lot of miles on it, and the operation costs are probably not going to be very high. Of course, this is a first model year new car, so in terms of durability and everything, we'll just have to see as time goes on. But yeah, operation costs in terms of fueling this are going to be very, very low. If we pop the hood, I can show you what's motivating this little car. So we have a 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder gas-powered engine mated to a dual clutch transmission, plus a hybrid system that uses a 32 kilowatt electric motor. The maximum combined output is 139 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. So it's fairly torquey, but yeah, 139 horsepower, it's not a sports car. It's definitely not fast. Doesn't have any problem keeping up with traffic, but that fuel economy number is really what's exciting about it. Now, there are two other powertrain options for this car, the new second generation Niro. You can also get a plug-in hybrid that gets you 180 horsepower because it has a more substantial 62 kilowatt electric motor and then 11.1 kilowatt hour battery. And then you can get a full battery electric vehicle version of the car with 201 horsepower, 253 miles of range. But again, just this base powertrain, spending the least amount of money to get the most practical form of transportation, it's really what makes this car pretty cool. As for what it's like to actually drive this car, it's relaxing. It's quiet in here. It has no problem, again, getting up to speed. It's as sporty as it needs to be. And it's just compliant. It's comfortable. You can spec out as much technology and comfort as you want in this interior. And again, I would just go for less. I think less is more on a car like this because you'll save money, and at the end of the day, do you really need the bigger screens and the smart stop and go cruise control. Maybe you like that kind of thing. Maybe you're into the tech and the convenience of it. I think the most bare bones version of this is the most appealing. In terms of ride, the car is smooth, compliant, seats are comfortable. The steering is light, but it's not so light that it feels like you're driving a John Deere tractor. It's not, one finger on the steering wheel and no feedback through the wheel light. So overall, I think they've hit all the important marks. This would be an easy car to traverse the country in. It just doesn't really give you anything to think about or worry about. 53 miles per gallon. It's just easy to live with. There's nothing more to say, really. Now, just because this particular Niro has the base powertrain doesn't mean that it has a base interior. So along the inside here, you get two big 10.25-inch screens. Those are an option. There's a lot of optional extras on this car. This one has the 8-speaker Harman Kardon audio system. It's got these memory seats that also give you heating and ventilation. This one also has a heated steering wheel. There's a lot of extras on this car, even some functional driver assistance extras like smart cruise control with a stop and go function. There's a lot of extra things that you can add to this car if you want to, but the more basic version of the car still gets you lane keep assist. It gets you blind spot monitoring for no additional charge. You get rear cross traffic collision avoidance. You get automatic emergency braking. You still get a decent amount of content on the base car, so you really don't have to spec it out to get a nicer version of the car. And there's a few things about this interior that make it pretty nice. On the hybrid version of the car, something that I like a lot is the fact that you get a real shifter. You're not dealing with a rotary dial. It's not a push button shifter. This is a genuine shifter, and for us car guys, more old school, for whatever reason, this just feels a lot more satisfying to use. There are a few cool things that Kia's done with this interior to make it a little bit more green. So they used a bunch of funky materials. This headliner is apparently made using recycled wallpaper. Then you have BTX-free paint on the doors, which reduces the impact of painting these door cards. And then the seats actually use some material that's made from eucalyptus leaves, which is, of course, the friendliest of all the leaves. So this is a completely animal cruelty-free interior. And if you're making a small, efficient, economical car, you might as well make it friendly to the planet as well. Along the back seats, even with a more spec'd out version of this car, the back seats are not especially fancy. It's mostly hard plastics back here. There's also a lot of hard plastics in the front, but especially in the back. But you still get pockets on the backs of the seats. You have USB-C chargers on the backs of the seats as well. And really the biggest thing is vents. Having vents for your rear seat passengers, that is really nice. Even if you don't have the fanciest of materials back here, vents are good to have. Plenty of headroom, plenty of leg room. I'm 5'10", fit back here, no problem. And I think even some of my taller coworkers would as well. And then a fold-out armrest with cup holders. So they've hit, I think, the most important marks for the back seat. It's worth talking about exterior styling on this brand new Kia Niro because this car is, well, definitely unique. The front end is not my favorite. There's parts of it that look a little bit awkward, but there's always sacrifices that you have to make a car aerodynamically efficient. We all know that if you make a car prioritize aerodynamics over everything else in terms of styling, a lot of times it's not going to end up being very pretty. Yeah, you can tell that they've definitely prioritized aerodynamics in the shape of this car, but there are a few elements of design that really set this car apart from most, particularly all of this contrast along the side. So you've got these big panels of black bodywork that contrast from the exterior color on the car. And then this very unique, kind of subtle but cool air blade. So this is a functional aerodynamic element. Air comes in here and it exits right on the inside of the taillight. And this whole panel is black as well. That is really the most distinguishing characteristic of this car visually, is this black panel here along the taillight. Around back you have a power liftgate, which in my mind is not completely necessary, honestly, but you also have 22.8 cubic feet of space here behind the rear seats, and then of course you can fold the rear seats down, and then you have a decent, mostly flat space. The seats don't go quite completely flat. And looking under here, I don't see any spare tire, which is kind of becoming the standard. I wish cars would still offer you spare tire, but I don't see it. I understand that packaging, especially with a hybrid, is hard. There's a lot of electronics in addition to the combustion engine that you have to package into this small space. So, you know, storage is kind of at a premium, especially in a smaller vehicle, but it would be nice to have a spare tire because you're not always in a good position to call AAA, and not everybody knows how to patch a tire, probably especially if you're the type of driver that wants a Kia Niro. So yeah, would love to see a spare tire in here. The other thing that I would love to see would be an all-wheel drive option on these cars, because they're all front-wheel drive no matter which variant you get. All front-wheel drive. Functional enough in the snow, especially if you live in the Front Range of Colorado like where we're based. But if you want to go up into the mountains, do some skiing, yeah, you might want to have all-wheel drive. So would be cool if that was an option on this car. So that's all for this video. I think we're probably going to have to go by a dealership to get the most base version of this car if we want to test that, because usually the manufacturers like to show us the best of everything that they have to offer. So from them, we're only going to get these more spec'd out models of the car. But I think the most exciting version of this new Kia Niro is the least expensive, because it's just going to be the most practical and the most focused on pure function, no excess. So hopefully we'll get hands-on with one of those soon and we can do some more testing with it. Yeah, really a lot that you get on the standard model of this car. I don't think that you need to spec it out any more than what it comes as. So let us know what you think in the comments down below, and we'll catch you all in the next video.